Hey everyone, Rich Gasaway here. There are two really exciting events on the SA Matters horizon. In September, I'm organizing National Situational Awareness Month and scheduling programs for a nationwide tour event unlike anything I've done to date. Then in October, the Situational Awareness Matters Tour embarks on an international tour with programs in Melbourne, Australia, Sydney, and Perth. And then I'm going on to New Zealand for programs in Christchurch and Auckland. And then on to the Netherlands for programs for the Amsterdam Fire Brigade and the Dutch Fire Academy, and then on to Antwerp, Belgium for 3 programs. For anyone who wonders what that might look like, in 27 days, I will fly 77 hours and deliver 13 programs. That's going to be, without a doubt, the craziest tour I've ever attempted. Stay tuned to the website and social media feeds for updates on this wild ride. If you want to be part of the September North American tour or the October Australian, New Zealand, European tour, go to the SA Matters website and click on the Contact Us tab. If you want to train your members virtually, you can do that too with the SA Matters Online Academy. The Academy teaches everything you need to know about situational awareness and high-risk decision-making. The Academy opened for enrollment in January. We've already had more than 700 students enroll. Did you know that issues related to situational awareness are consistently identified as contributing factors in near misses, injuries, and fatality events? Please, don't wait until your agency has had a critical injury or fatality incident. Please don't wait. I get to work with the departments that have experienced critical injuries and fatality incidents, and they're some of the most hurting organizations you can imagine. Please don't wait for that to happen to you. Seriously, I can take your understanding of situational awareness and high-risk decision-making processes to the level it needs to be. Visit samatters.com, click on the green button on the right side of the homepage, labeled Online Academy. For our premium enrolled students in the Academy, they get to participate in a monthly webinar where I have guests talk about important safety topics. This month's webinar was Chris Naum talking about building construction, and the situational awareness connection. The next webinar is scheduled for June 4 and will feature Joe Pernesti talking about incorporating simulation into your command training. Premium enrolled students will get a notification sent to them in the course room along with login credentials. Okay, that's enough pre-show stuff. Roll that podcast intro. For years, Midwest Fire has been manufacturing high-quality tankers, tanker pumpers, and fire rescue vehicles in the United States and Canada. Keeping firefighters safe while enhancing their capabilities is what they do best. To learn more, go to MidwestFire.com.
This is Captain Dave Martin, Health and Safety Officer for Yakima County Fire District 5. You are listening to the SA Matters radio show with Dr. Rich Gasaway. The SA Matters mission is simple. They want to help us see the bad things coming in time to avoid bad outcomes.
Hello and welcome to episode 163 of the Situational Awareness Matters radio show. I'm your host, Rich Gasaway. The purpose of this show is to improve situational awareness and decision-making for individuals and teams who work in high-risk, high-consequence, time-compressed environments with changing conditions. The SA Matters mission is simple: to help you see the bad things coming in time to avoid bad outcomes. If you're new to the podcast, you have some homework to do and go back and listen to the past episodes. I've released a new episode every Tuesday, never missed a week, for over 3 consecutive years. And I do that for you, the listeners. You inspire me to work harder for you. I've shared the message of situational awareness and high-risk decision-making in live programs for over 12 years to almost 59,000 first responders. I'm here for the long run. For so long as I'm able, I'll continue to share this message, a message of hope, a message of inspiration, and a message of encouragement for all first responders who want to make sure they're able to develop and maintain strong situational awareness and make quality, high-risk decisions. I'm dedicated to helping to improve your safety and your survival, and to helping you accomplish the very most important goal of all, to go home to the ones who love you. And speaking of sharing the message, I'm coming to you today from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, where I'm in town for 2 weeks doing some situational awareness consulting and training for the United States Navy. And while I'm here doing the work for the Navy, I'm also doing companion programs for the Hartford, Connecticut Fire Department, the Stoughton, Massachusetts Fire Department, and the Belmont, Massachusetts Fire Department. These are what I call companion programs. One of the questions I get asked a lot by readers and listeners are, when are you coming to my area? Or where are you going to be next? Great question. And the answer is really easy to find out. There's a link to all the upcoming events right on the homepage of the SA Matters website. Just click on the blue box on the right side of the homepage labeled Upcoming Events Schedule. I feel very blessed to have some very exciting presentation opportunities on the horizon, including Fire Rescue International in Charlotte, a program for the NASA Glenn Research Center, the Australian tour that I mentioned, the New Zealand tour I mentioned, the European tour that I mentioned, programs for Phillips 66 petroleum refineries, and no doubt more programs for the United States Navy. Stand by, and we'll share those details when they're finalized. If you're interested in hosting a Situational Awareness Matters tour stop in 2017 or 2018 for your department, your association, your region, your state, or your company, yes, our trainers do programs for private industry too, just contact me through the samatters.com Contact Us tab, and we'll get something set up for you. I promise you it's not a hard process. And if you want to save some money hosting programs, I do what's called companion programs. These are programs on adjoining days to other programs. If you see I'm delivering a program within a few hours of your department, and you think you might want to tag along as a companion, contact me. You can save as much as 20% off the program fee by being a companion program, and I do about 30 of those a year. No one ever complains about saving money. That's what I did for Hartford and Stoughton and Belmont this week. Okay, in today's feature segment, I complete the interview with members of the Lynchburg Fire Department about their residential dwelling fire near miss. And when I'm done with the interview, stick around and I'll tell you where there will be upcoming Situational Awareness Matters tour stop events. Who knows? Maybe I'm going to be right in your state or right in your county. Okay, let's pick our interview up where we left off. We're talking with firefighters from Lynchburg, Virginia about a near miss event they had at a residential dwelling fire. And they're going to pick it up right as things are starting to unravel. So let's join in for part 2.
And it's now not changing, and it's not getting any better, but now smoke conditions on the exterior are starting to get worse. And they get to a point within a matter of minutes that I almost can't even see the house at all. It's completely now obscured by just thick grayish black smoke. That just awful looking smoke that just is starting to bank down. It's coming across the street. It's just almost completely obscuring the entire scene. And these folks continue to report that, hey, on the inside, it's not bad. We're seeing a little bit of smoke, but it's really not bad. And then there's this time where they continue to do their great work on the inside, and things got better for just a few minutes. So then we finally feel like, and I report to them, okay, fine, I think we got it. We're now heading in the right direction. It begins to get a little better on the outside. They're still reporting the same thing on the inside. Little smoke, fire in every place we poke. We're putting them out as we get to them. Nobody's really excited at this point. Everybody's just kind of moving along, with their job duties. And the smoke begins to get better. It starts to subside. You can begin to see the house again.
Hold on a second. So, Bob and John, are you guys in 2 different rooms at this point doing your work?
Yeah, we're kind of split. I think Bob was up towards the Alpha side, and I was back towards the Charlie Bravo side. And like I said, one of the things, we have a lot of balloon frame in the city that we fight all the time. So this is not something unusually wrong. We're seeing it in the walls and the ceilings as we're going. But like I said, we're still able to communicate. We meet in the hall and saying, hey, I've got this room clear. We put it out pretty much everything. And at one point we're both up in the Alpha side, kind of
face to face.
Yeah.
When it all went down, we were face to face.
Yeah. And what I remember saying, because the chief told us, like you said, the conditions that got better, he said, I think y'all are getting a good hit on it now. And we were in the front room, in face to face, just like I said, the conditions were perfectly fine. You can see from room to room at that point, and we're thinking, okay, we got this thing. We got a few more rooms to pull, finish overhaul and be good to go.
Are you guys on your second bottle by now?
Yes, I was.
There were some
My
people.
crew wasn't, because I was on a RIT initially. So.
Yeah, there were some people that were on second bottles and some people that were actually on third bottles by now.
Okay.
Yeah, this is well into the incident.
We are well into the incident. We are an hour or more into the incident chasing this thing. Yeah.
Okay. That's good perspective. Thank you.
We are well over an hour into the incident at this point. Never been in a rush, never felt this sort of need to hurry or be expeditious outside of our normal expediency. But yeah, some people were on their second bottle and some people by now were on their third bottle.
Yeah. And as we're pulling all the structural members, we're not seeing anything that says, hey, this fire is way too far gone for us to be in there. I mean, that was the thing as we were pulling. We're seeing fire and smoke, but nothing to the point that, hey, now it's time to go. That's why, like I said, to me, it was like, I don't say every other fire we've been to, but we've seen it plenty of times, kind of the same thing where we've had to chase it around. But and when Bob and I were on the alpha side is when the conditions changed, and when they changed, it was a matter of seconds.
I mean, it was like literally going from doing a face-to-face talking to zero visibility in less than 5 seconds. I mean, it was that fast. And it was fast. It was just as fast enough for me to look at John and grab my mic and call the chief and say, we've had a drastic conditions change in the residence. And by then, it didn't take, we could hear it before. He never even answered he had given the order to evacuate. And, the air blast off of the air horn on the engine were going off as soon as I let off the mic. And it changed that fast.
So from the inside, within 5 seconds, went from face-to-face, clear visibility to zero visibility. Was it hot?
It was hot. It was hot, black smoke.
It was.
You could tell that the smoke was moving.
Yeah.
And it was definitely. It wasn't, I would say, charging, but it was enough to say something is not right, and we've got to get out of here right away. And
now, you said the air horns blasted. Was that as a result of your radio transmission, or was it something separate?
I was talking to the chief and telling him basically on the radio. He must have tried to talk to me first, and when he saw the conditions change outside, it simultaneously, when I hit my mic, mine just happened to make it through to his radio and say, we've had a drastic change. We need to get out of here.
Okay.
So we, when the conditions sort of started to improve a little bit, from the previous time, that lasted for several minutes. And then, as Bob points out, it's instantaneous where this thick black smoke overtakes the entire structure again. It starts to bank down. It comes across the street, completely obscures the entire building from top to bottom from my vantage point. And it's at that point that the smoke changes one more time from this sort of grayish black smoke to now what I can best describe as sort of Incredible Hulk looking in color, sort of this dark green with a lot of black in it, and it literally looks like it's breathing, like the house. You can't see the house, but the smoke looks like it's breathing, moving in and out, like it's taking huge, deep breaths. And it's at that point that I look at the aerial operator because I'm the closest to him, and I give the signal to pull the air horn because I can't give radio traffic because I'm listening to what his report is, which is, hey, we've just had some significant changes. He gives that air horn blast, followed by his operator who gives the same air horn blast, followed by our dispatcher who's monitoring the radio, giving the evacuation tone. And these guys come out and report to me immediately, I don't know what you did, but you did the right thing, because as soon as you did that, when we were trying to talk to you on the radio, it was getting ready to get our butts.
Okay. So on your radio traffic, Bob, did everybody leave?
Oh yeah. John was standing right beside me, and we didn't even really have to talk about it. I mean, both of us had recognized that this was a problem that was getting ready to happen right now, and we had to go ahead and accountability. We were the last two going down the stairs to get out. We made sure that our crew which was not far from us whatsoever. I mean, we're talking about, 8 feet to the stairway, and we could see them, but it was right tight coming out of there. When we made the stairs coming out of there, we started meeting fire conditions and zero visibility on the first floor at that time.
Ooh. And did you guys take your hose lines with you, or just like, heck with it, we're getting out?
No, we left it.
everything.
We
You left them? Okay. The reason I ask is I want to frame up the expediency at which you're leaving. You leave at one pace when you're pulling your hose lines with you. You leave at another place when you're just follow the line and bust your butt out of the building.
Yeah, they did a great job. They left with nothing but the clothes and their air packs on their back, literally, and that's it. They left all their tools inside, everything they'd taken with them. All the hoses. I mean, we lost a lot of equipment that day, but that's a whole lot better than losing a lot of life. So they did exactly what they should have done. They recognized the conditions, and they got out of there as quickly as possible. Didn't do anything but exit the building.
Crews on the first floor, crews in the basement. What are they afterwards when you talk to them? What did they see or experience when these conditions changed?
The basement crew didn't notice anything. They heard the evacuation, got out. They didn't have a clue what was going on. The first floor, as Bob indicates, the first floor crew also recognized that something had changed very instantaneously, because although they weren't blocked by fire from making their egress, fire was certainly between them and where they needed to go. And they were able to get out, effectively without any trouble. But they were encountering some of the same conditions that Bob and John were seeing on the second floor. And as it turns out, by the time they got out, the fire had broken through the roof of the building and had ventilated, completely through the roof. So it had been all up in the attic spaces and places that we just weren't going to get to. It just wasn't going to happen, unfortunately.
How did you account for everybody that to know that everybody was out?
So we do a standard at the battalion chief's discretion, but at a time frame of about every 15 minutes. You're given a little ambiguity. So every 15 to 20 minutes, you're supposed to do a PAR check. And so that can be at the battalion chief's discretion. He or she can do that earlier if necessary. But that's what happened when we did the evacuation. After everybody was confirmed, after everybody exited the structure, our protocol is to immediately do a PAR check. And so we just do a roll call right there at the scene, and somebody will start. And if nobody starts, the battalion chief starts, and they just start calling engines one at a time. And, command engine one, PAR, and engine one will report their PAR. And then you just go on down the line till you get everybody covered, and you make sure that you have all of your personnel accounted for.
Okay. And how long did it take you to know that you had everybody accounted for?
Oh, just a few seconds. I would say in less than a minute, we were able to figure out that we had everybody accounted for. It didn't take long at all. By that time, I had, there was office staff with me at the command post, and they were helping me with accountability. That is something that we do. I think we do it fairly well. Obviously, we have, ways that we can improve and things we can do better, but I think we do it well, and we were doing it well that day. And so the person who was helping me was able to help me sort of, categorize everybody where they were, and then make sure that each person in that crew was accounted for. But it's a very quick process. I think on that particular day, because we were so taken aback by what had happened, I actually was the one that started the process. It wasn't an automatic process. So as soon as they come out, I started with engine one because they were the first people to go in. And engine one, then they went to engine four, then to engine six. I always do it in numerical order. That way I don't forget who I need to ask.
Yeah. At that point, then, did the fire become a defensive fire?
Yes, completely defensive.
Okay.
So it remained so until we were able to ultimately put it out using the aerial device that we had placed. That's how we were able to put it out effectively, so that we could go then back in and do some overhaul.
Okay. And then, so let's let me ask, from the point it became defensive, was there anything else significant to the story that we should talk about before we come back to talk about some lessons learned and things like that? Was there anything else once it went defensive, or was it pretty much, water from the outside till the fire went out?
It was water to the outside till the fire went out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
Okay.
actually washed away their backyard before it was all said and done.
Okay. All right. So what takeaways would a listener or viewer benefit from your experience here with this call?
I think the number one takeaway is always, always, always listen and watch what's going on. Even if you can't see what's going on, rely on the great folks that you have working with you to let them be your eyes as to what's going on. And that goes in reverse. These guys do a great job at listening to what we see outside and communicate that on the radio so that they can better plan for what they need to do tactically on the inside. So that effective communication, I think, is really what kept us out of trouble, or kept us from being in worse trouble, because we were listening to each other. We were paying attention to what we were seeing and hearing, even if you can't hear it or see it. You were relying on the fact that somebody else could give you fair and true and accurate information that was instrumental in making the outcome better.
Now, Greg, when I was down in Lynchburg and you and I had this conversation about the fire, my memory serves me, but my memory is as an older man is now starting to fail me. Well, didn't we have a conversation, something about you saying something about getting some intuitive feeling about this? Or am I confusing you with?
Yeah, no. That was when I saw that smoke on the outside. That was something I had not seen before in my experience. And I'd been a fire marshal, and I'd been an engine company captain, and I'd been in my share of incidents. And I got that intuition because I'd seen this change in smoke and saw the way the smoke was behaving, and had never seen that before. That's what struck me as needing to make an immediate change, because it went so fast from things are beginning to improve to where these two gentlemen are talking face to face in almost a clear environment inside, to, in a matter of seconds, smoke completely obscuring the entire structure. And it literally looks like some monster is going to come out of there that looks like the Hulk. I mean, it's breathing and it's moving so turbulent and so fast that it just gave me this awkward or feeling. The hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I was like, we got to get people out of here. This is bad news. Is getting ready to come down on us right now. And it was just, I don't know if it was the experience or my previous experience, but it was just bad. It was just an intuition that something bad is getting ready to happen. And the funny thing is they had the same intuition inside at almost the exact same time. And that has to do with great folks and folks who have experience. Even though they may not have seen this before, they at least know what they're looking at when they see it.
Yeah. So for Bob and John, and you guys can end up each answer this, but like, what was going through your mind as soon as like the conditions just went like almost instantly from okay to just terrible? Just talk me through what you were thinking to yourself. Maybe not necessarily what you're saying, but what you were thinking.
We were standing literally right beside each other, and we were actually talking. And it's just, 1 minute you think you got everything under control, and I'm not exaggerating about the 5 seconds. It was literally 5 seconds. I could barely see him, and I could reach out and touch him. And we knew if we didn't have to say anything, we knew that we were in a bad way. And the thing that I take out of this is commonly when we start doing overhaul and we think we have everything under control, it's very important to keep your eyes on your crew, because it was a blessing that day that all of them were near us. Sometimes you can spread out over a floor and you may be overhauling in several rooms. That could have really turned out bad for us that day. And we were fortunate they were all right there. They were talking to us, we were talking to them, and we were making tracks out of that house. It was in fact, we had even said, I told them, I'm like, if the stair goes, we've got the front porch roof. And that's how fast we were thinking about it. And it got in a bad way pretty quick.
I mean, I same thing I was going to say that Bob kind of hit on was, we were in overhaul. We pretty much think we got this under control. We're good. we're going to finish up here pretty soon, and not letting your guard down, even though, because like I said, we're talking and we're figuring out, our last little things we need to do. And like I said, it changed that quick. And, it only took a second to realize that this was not right. And, it's time to go. And both of us kind of, like I said, we both knew we're getting out of here now, told our crews it's time to go. And then we're down the steps. I mean, we're making sure we have everybody with us. And like Bob said, we're the last two coming down the steps. And when we got out, made sure we had all our crew with us. But, Bob had his crew and we were good. But just not letting your guard down, because I can imagine if we were doing overhaul, all of us were still on air, which was a blessing too. We make sure we do air monitoring prior to taking our air packs off. If we would have, gone ahead and unclipped our regulators and stuff like that, and that condition would have changed, that could have been a much different outcome. So,
we told them to leave everything.
Yeah.
They said, what about us? I said, just leave everything, get out of here. And,
wow. Were either of you thinking that you might not get out?
I did not. I
was going to get out of there.
We're getting out of there. Yeah.
I was going to get out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, we had I guess both of us were aware that we had the porch roof, if we couldn't make the stairs. And we knew we had, our RIT part of our RIT is setting ladders like most departments do. And we set ladders, and there was ladders there. So it wasn't to that stage to where we're not going to make it. It's basically like something has changed really fast and we know it ain't right. And that's the kind of urgency that we had.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember coming to the hallway to go down to the stairway and the air horn blasts were already going off. I mean, that's how fast it went down.
Yeah. Same thing with Bob. We both knew something had drastically changed. I didn't realize how bad it was until we came back. I got out the front door and we did our part. I remember looking back at the house and thinking, man, that wasn't what we saw, 30 seconds ago, a minute ago, however long. I couldn't believe that it had changed that much that quick. Because like I said, we're sitting there talking and, just doing overall, pulling, sealing, and, hitting the hot spots. And next thing you know, we're rolling down the steps, getting everybody out. So,
how much time between your exit from the structure until the space that you were working in became what you would have termed untenable? How much time before? I'm trying to put a frame on the window of time from here's when we left, but if we'd only been there this much longer, that would have been, we wouldn't have made it out.
I would have said only a few minutes of that. I mean, it was rapidly changing to the point that I think the stairwell would have been blocked within probably another minute, and then we would have probably had to, do bailouts or something like that. But it wouldn't have been long because the way the conditions changed, like you said, it was a matter of 5 or 6 seconds that it went completely zero viz, and then trying to get out, and that's when we started hitting high heat conditions coming down the steps. So it wouldn't have been long. You got anything?
No, that's right.
And that heavy smoke on the first floor. Now, where was that coming from? I mean, what caused? Did you guys put any thought to? How did this go from okay to really, really not okay, really, really fast?
That was pushing down, we believe, from the upstairs. So the instant change that they got was the same change that that Bob and John had seen upstairs. So we believe that the change downstairs was just a spillover, if you will, or extension of what was going on upstairs. Because they noticed it on the A side of the structure. So, it was between them and their exit. But it wasn't, it was just sort of because the smoke, I think, was so thick, frankly, and the pressure that it just was completely beginning to drop down, because right there was where right at that entry point was where those steps were. And so I think that what they were seeing, they pulled a wall there on the A side. I don't think they would have seen any fire, frankly. I think they were seeing the pressure change from upstairs, because even though it was an older house, it was pretty tight. I mean, that's why they didn't have any smoke on the inside when they went upstairs in retrospect, because the house was so tight on the interior that it just was communicating through those spaces in the walls. And some of those spaces were probably, 8 to 12 inches, big. I mean, they were huge open spaces.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So any other, lessons learned or things that you would want to share out with other departments about how they might approach this if they had a similar type fire, things that they should think about or consider based on your experience?
I think the big thing is, as these guys have pointed out already, always make sure you do that 360 to confirm the location of the fire, but yet don't let that alone dictate what your tactic might be, and be prepared for changing that tactic as necessary. I don't think we were ever in that lull. I don't think that we saw the fire in the basement and then said, oh, well, that'll be it. We don't have to worry about this. Is going to be bread and butter. This is going to be easy. But I think it's easy to, looking back, it's easy to see that and go, man, I'm glad we didn't get into that lull. I'm glad we did a thorough investigation. I'm glad we continued, monitoring and, again, communicating. I'm seeing smoke on the outside. You guys aren't seeing anything on the inside, but there's a fire somewhere. You all have to find it right now. And then, again, recognizing the good communication skills that really are necessary and being able to rely on your folks to make those effective decisions. I can't say it enough how much these guys and other people in our organization do great work every day. And I rely on them to make sure that whatever it is they're telling me is accurate. And I take that accuracy and I never question it. And, there weren't any questions asked that day. It was, this is what we're seeing. This is what we're going to do. They didn't ask me any questions. I didn't ask them any questions. And it was just so beneficial to the final outcome, because when you can't see them, it's a bad situation.
Well, the one thing that I can say from my visit to Lynchburg is that during the class, that I engage the students in a lot of discussion, a lot of interaction, and I really felt like I was among smart, thinking firefighters that day in that room. In other words, these were people who know their craft and think through their answers. I mean, I feel that way a lot in a lot of the sessions, but sometimes not so much. And I really felt that the people that I was among that day, and how many did we have that day? We had a pretty full room.
About 35, 40 people.
Yeah. It was a really enjoyable day for me because I like when people think, ask tough questions, challenge ways of thinking and doing things, and I really came away feeling like I learned as much from you all that day as maybe anybody in that room learned from me. But as I left, I went, here's a department that's got solid process and solid ways of doing business, and I was very, very encouraged by that. Question for Bob and John. Now we didn't preset this up, so I have to ask. I'm going to ask you guys a couple of really personal questions, and I hope you guys don't get mad at me that I do this. But Bob, do you have a family at home when you get off work?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. And John, same?
Yes.
Okay. When you guys got off shift here, did you go home and tell them what happened?
No, I didn't.
I mean, I told them we had a fire, but I didn't tell them, how the details, how close it was, and all that stuff.
I ask this of every near miss interview that I do. Is did you go home and have that conversation? And almost everyone says no. They don't want to worry their family. They don't want them to be concerned about it. But we know that was close. That was close. I mean, if circumstances were just slightly different, if your crews were spread out a little bit further, if you would have become disoriented when the conditions changed and lost your point of orientation to the stairs, that you could have had a very significant tragic outcome at this incident. I mean, a lot of things were done right that kept that from happening. You guys trusted your intuition, which was as I teach that, very, very important. When Chief, when you said the hair stood up on the back of your neck, when we talk, that's one of those indicators that inside the head, the brain just made a pattern match to something that is putting alarm bells off. And so many times people don't trust that feeling. They don't trust that intuition as being right. And this whole interview is an example of success, of a good outcome. And like, Greg, when we talked when I was down here, like, well, I don't know if we're going to do a podcast. It turned out good. Everything went right. And I'm like, no, that's why we have to do this one, because not every one of them turns out right or turns out well. And some of my people I interview are among firefighters who get killed, so that's not exactly calling it turning out right. And when we get one that does turn out right, those lessons need to be shared too, because there's just as many takeaways for people that will be watching or listening about things that they should do and be looking for, and trusting the gut and good communications. And I like the fact that you said, Greg, that, we don't over communicate. You let the crews do their work. When they got something to say to you, they'll say it to you. And that, that's all just very solid best practices. Because even like in class, we talked about what happens when we have too much communication and the impact that has. So there's so many situational awareness lessons contained in this interview. I absolutely love the success of this event based on so many things that are part of the lessons that I share in the class. When I was doing the class, you guys must have like been doing little mental high fives inside your head saying, yeah, we do that right. We do that right. Yeah, that's what he's saying. That's just what we do. At least, because that's what I'm feeling just from talking to you guys here on this incident. So did you guys do any kind of after event, like get together, discussion, review, anything like that? Is that a standard practice or something that you would do?
Yeah, so we have a standard practice of doing a hot wash there at the event prior to departure from the scene. And then typically on the next work shift, we do a more formalized, isn't the right word, but a more formal, at a station someplace or at a meeting place. We do a more formal, review. We don't really call it a critique. We just call it an incident review or an after action report. Critique seems kind of harsh in some ways. So, it seems very critical. But we always review those things to make sure that, we're prepared for the next time.
Uh-huh.
We can be.
So when you guys were like gathered up for the hot wash, was there anything kind of like, that was close? That was pretty close right there. Was that kind of the sensation, or was it just like, it was all right. It was all right. We got out.
No, for me, it was, that was really close. That was, I immediately knew that bad things could have really happened. We could have been, as a matter of fact, I think, some of the terms I used that same day were, we could have been on CNN or Fox News talking about firefighters who were killed. That was where we were right at that doorstep. That's how I felt from where I was standing. And so, we were fortunate that didn't occur, and fortunate that we weren't, on that newscast or doing that story about, firefighter injury or firefighter death. So that was a realization for me that, how important it was that we did what we did in the manner in which we did it, just like our training shows us, just like our experiences told us, so that we weren't on that television.
Wow. Well, thank you guys for taking some time to come onto the podcast and now onto the video and to share your experiences with me. Several things that you said really just gave me some affirmation, but it also gave me some chills, because I realized that, just a slight change in circumstances, and this might have been an interview with just one person in the middle of the room, and the two on the flank might have not been with us. And for that, I'm thankful. And for that, I'd say that the way you do your business is a solid attribution to this successful outcome. And there's some great lessons here for others to learn. So Thanks for being with me.
Thank you for the kudos. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Lynchburg Deputy Chief Greg Wormser, Captain Bob Mays, and Captain John Ripley for sharing your very, very near-miss story. If you've experienced or witnessed a near-miss and would like to have a platform to share your lessons learned with others, contact me by visiting the samatters.com website and clicking on the Contact Us tab at the top of the homepage. Think about it. The lessons learned from your near-miss event could save the life of another first responder. That's pretty powerful. If you want to share your experience, contact me. Okay, as I always do, I want to take a moment to thank the departments and the organizations that have hosted some recent Situational Awareness Matters Tour Stop events. I do this to show my appreciation to those organizations who've put forth the effort to organize, advertise, and fund great training experiences for your members and others in your region. Recent tour stops have included, the FDNY Incident Management Team Training, Ontario Fire Chiefs Association Conference, the Ontario Fire Training Officers Association Conference, the Hartford, Connecticut Fire Department, and where I am again, right in the middle of a 9-day consulting and training program for the United States Navy at Portsmouth Naval Shipyard in Kittery, Maine. And while I'm here, I'll be doing programs for Hartford, Connecticut, Stoughton, Mass., and Belmont, Mass. Then on May 31, I'll be in Colorado Springs, June 10th, Beaver Lake, Arkansas, June 12th to 16th at the Woodlands in Texas, doing a Company Officer Development Institute. Then I'm going to take some time off to spend with my family. If you're interested in seeing the locations of all the upcoming Situational Awareness Matters Tour Stop events, head over to the SA Matters website and click on the blue box on the right side of the homepage labeled Upcoming Events Schedule. The schedule's changing often, so please check back every once in a while. While delivering programs in southwest Minnesota earlier this year, I had an opportunity to stop and visit my awesome sponsor, Midwest Fire. They make all poly-bodied fire apparatus, and it's changing the industry. You seriously need to check them out at MidwestFire.com. Anyhow, I got a chance to sit down and talk to a few of their employees about what separates Midwest Fire from their competitors. So let's listen in as I talk to account executive Dalton Lingbeck about the various types of apparatus they build. Okay, Dalton, tankers and tanker pumpers. That seems to be the game for Midwest Fire. I see, even as I'm here at the factory, I see a number of tankers and tanker pumpers. But do you build anything else? Are you basically just a 2-product company, or do you have other types of trucks that you're building for customers?
We do in fact build a lot of tankers and tanker pumpers. They are our bread and butter. We love building them, and they're a great product for us. But in fact, we do not only build tankers and tanker pumpers. We try and fill the whole department. So if anyone needs to replace their fleet, we can do it. We do a lot of roll pumpers. We're starting to do more and more of those. We don't really trend towards more of the major metropolitan cities with pumpers. We leave that up to the guys that have been doing it for a long time. We take care of our customer base, which are volunteer firefighters, rural firefighters, and we provide them with the rural pumpers. We also do quick attacks. We do a lot of rescue quick attacks, mini pumpers, not necessarily the PTO mini pumpers, but we do portable pumps on these things. So essentially it's a lot of rescue tools. It's on an F550. It's got a rescue style body, but we call them quick attacks. And then finally we do brush trucks. And brush trucks we love doing these because these things are one of the coolest trucks and coolest firefighting piece of equipment on the face of this earth. We've been doing a lot of those. We've started doing brush trucks around 2.5 years ago, and we have been building roughly 10 to 15 a year, and we're increasing that by the day. It's a really cool thing, and you'll be seeing a lot more Midwest Fire brush trucks in the future.
So if somebody wanted to see what these trucks look like, are there pictures on the website or a gallery, or is there someplace they can go to put their eyeballs on what we're talking about here?
Yeah, definitely. We have many areas where you can see the pictures. We have a Twitter account. We do a lot of delivery pictures and just pictures in general on our Facebook. That's a huge place for people to go see us. But the biggest part is our website. We do have a deliveries tab, and you can see all recent deliveries on our website from the day they were delivered all the way back to how many ever years ago.
Yeah, nice. So if you want to learn more about the types of apparatus that Midwest Fire is building, tankers, tanker pumpers, quick attack pumpers, brush trucks, rural apparatus, visit them at MidwestFire.com and see how they can help you. Thank you, Midwest Fire President Sarah Atchison and all of your amazing staff for your awesome commitment to improving first responder safety. I sincerely appreciate your support of my mission. If you're not a member of the SA Matters community of learners yet, consider joining the over 5,000 members connected here on SA Matters, sharing ideas about how to improve situational awareness, how to make better decisions under stress, and how to train members on how to be critical thinkers and resilient problem solvers. Membership is free. F-R-E-E, free. And when you sign up, I'll send you a special report I've created for new members called 25 Best Practices for Improving First Responder Safety. It's free too. And joining will also get you my monthly email newsletter. It's free too. And that contains featured content from the blog and podcasts. It really is the best way for us to stay in touch with each other. If you're not a member yet, head over to the SA Matters website and click on the red box on the right side of the homepage. It says free membership. If you want to get connected with me on Twitter, you can follow @RichGasaway on Twitter. On LinkedIn, you can search for Rich Gasaway on LinkedIn. On YouTube, you can watch my videos on the SA Matters TV channel. And on Facebook, you can like the SA Matters page. Well, that's it. Episode 163 is complete. Thank you again to our guests, Lynchburg, Virginia Fire Captain Bob Mays, Captain John Ripley, and Deputy Chief Greg Wormser. Thank you for our awesome podcast sponsor, Midwest Fire. Thank you to all of our live event hosts. Thank you to our more than 700 online academy students. And thank you, our listeners, for sharing some of your valuable time with me today. I really appreciate your support of the SA Matters mission. Be safe out there, and may the peace of the Lord and strong situational awareness be with you always.
You've been listening to the Situational Awareness Matters radio show with Dr. Richard B. Gasaway. If you are interested in learning more about situational awareness, human factors, and decision-making under stress, visit samatters.com. If you are interested in booking Dr. Gasaway for an upcoming event, visit his personal website at richgasaway.com.